Hello and welcome to day 25 of my 30-day 3D modeling challenge. Today's model is our second animal for the challenge. It's a turtle. And this proved to be a decent challenge. I made the turtle, but I really it's my first turtle. What else? What am I gonna expect? So I just, applied my current knowledge to see how close I could get to the reference. And there are many types of turtles out there. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to make like a semi-cartoonish, cute little turtle thing, or if I wanted to go about the more realistic approach, which I am doing here. And there's also different races of different kinds of species of turtle species. And I picked a hawksbill turtle with its iconic beak face and really cute eyes. They are very cute. Well, most turtles are kind of cute actually. Um, there's a reason the entire Elden Ring community calls them dogs, because they are really like dogs. Or well, if you ask me, I think every animal can be compared to a dog. Every animal, meaning that every animal can be a friend. And if you can befriend an animal, you should. But enough about that. The mesh is turned out to be quite complex, and I also did a big mistake, which was not sticking by my mirrored model. I did, like, yeah, as you can see, I'm working with a mirror modifier on, just so that I can only need to keep track of one side and make sure it's symmetric, because turtles are pretty fucking symmetrical. And it's like very I did a stupid and once I was basically finished and applied the mirror modifier, I unwrapped I had to do some other changes, and then I forgot that I had already unwrapped it. After, you should unwrap it before you apply the mirror modifier in order for the mesh to be, in order for the half of the mesh to share its texture with the other side. If you want it to be if it's going to be symmetrical anyway, then you might as well just split it in half. But I did not do that. I forgot that if you unwrap it after you apply the mirror modifier, you get each side gets its own UV island of its respective space, and that's not effective. That's not that's not efficient, is what I mean. But one positive note to take from that would be to that, nothing is, no organic shape is inherently symmetrical. Maybe that, like, the shape is, but the texture certainly on a turtle is most definitely not perfectly symmetrical. So I guess it's, you take the wins where you can find them. And here I'm spending, I think, 20 or 30 minutes trying to get each segment of the shell, the iconic hexagonal shapes that make out the turtle shell structure. I'm trying to, like, mold them so that they're easier to unwrap, but there's too much geometry to make it a feasible task. and eventually I run out of patience and just remove the whole thing and start out from one flat engon, and then I draw out the shapes from scratch, and that turned out to be a much quicker and much more efficient method rather than doing it like this, as I'm still trying to do now. Yeah, so here I give up and just fucking start over from scratch. And yeah, it was much faster. I should have done this. I should have done it like that from the beginning. I would have saved me at least 20 minutes. But you live and you learn. Now I know that this is probably a better way to make a shell. See, it's so much more clearer like this. A lot more. I feel like the fins and the arms could have been a little bit bigger. That's quite a big turtle shell. Or I don't know if the proportions are 100% correct. In the reference, certainly the frontal parts look a lot bigger than they are here, but maybe they're fine. I don't know. Maybe I could have gone with making the shell itself slightly smaller, I think. But it's taking shape. It is a turtle shell, indeed. A nice veggie burger. I also learned a lot about drawing organic organic surfaces on Substance Painter. This turned out to be quite a good exercise in doing that, because I've always I'm more used to I'm more experienced in making more uniform non-organic shapes like tables and furniture and man-made objects that are very very geometrical, you know, as opposed to this shape, which is way more organic and dense in its layered nature, if that makes sense. Um, it was fun. It was fun. But it took longer than I wanted to. I rather not spend more than 2 hours on this, especially because I have other things to do in my day, but also not to burn myself out in achieving this 30-day 3D modeling challenge. But this with this specific mesh, with the turtle specifically, since much like the lion, I knew it was gonna be very important in terms of, like, learning new things, discovering more blatant mistakes that I can correct in the future, and just you know now I lost my trail of thought, but it doesn't matter. That's what it is. Um, Not sure why the UV on. Oh, right, yeah. I spent a long time in structuring the UV islands, so that they are not like all over the place. And that turned out to be quite one of the. I think that was the main reason why the material took a lot less time to make than the mesh itself. About half of the time. Yeah, the mesh, the model itself took over almost, yeah, almost 1.5 hour I spent modeling a turtle. And the material itself took a bit of a, yeah, 50 minutes. So very close to, well, more or less. Yeah, this model took me more or less a bit over 2 hours to make. So yeah, I'll have to try to reduce that because I really want to make this challenge not as painful as it could be, you know. Or not painful, but more like long-winded. You spend enough time looking at the same work of art, at least for me. I spend enough time staring myself blind and tugging and pulling and blah 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 on a model. There's just after a certain point, you just you're just not gonna be that you're not gonna be productive. Or as you're not gonna be efficient because you enter a state of mind where you're like, yeah, I just want to end this as fast as possible. Or what shortcuts can I take? And those shortcuts, paradoxically, end up in having to do more work because some of those shortcuts that you took ended up affecting a later step in the process that you now have to sort out using other quick fixes. And that just, yeah, that can one minor shortcut can end up in adding up more hours. And yeah, you generally want to avoid that. You don't want nothing to take too long. And for a mesh that's supposed to just be done in one day, I'd say 2 hours is more or less the threshold that you want to keep. At least for me. I'm not saying everyone works like this, but for me, for now, I think 2 hours is a pretty decent boundary to set for myself. Hiccup. So yeah, here I am just doing the work and placing out the UVs as closely resembling to what. Yeah, so you can see like, okay, this is the whole underside, and this is like the row around the ring around the main shape. Yeah, here I'm just assembling all the hexagonals, all the shields of the carapace. Is it even called like that? Carapace? Isn't that just another word for shell? Carapace. Oh yeah, it's a general word for a shell, for any shell creature. Okay, I even have some names for the outer ring, the outer edge of the shell is the marginal. And the side shields, like the side hexagonals, are called the costal. And the central ones are, yeah, the central. It's like that's like the spine, I guess you could call it. And the very frontal point is the nuchal, and the very back end is the supracaudal. So that's I have no idea how accurate this is. This is just the picture that I googled. Um, is a carapace? Does that count as an exoskeleton? Is a shell an exoskeleton? Yes, a shell is a type of exoskeleton. Yeah, that makes sense. It really does. Both shells and exoskeleton are external coverings that provide protection and support for an animal's body, while the term exoskeleton is often used for hard outer covering arthropods like insects and crustaceans. Also accurately describes the shells of mollusks like snails, clams, and oysters. Okay, okay. That was Google AI's fucking mansplainer explanation. Uh, yeah, and I knew from the start that making the material was gonna involve using the my pen and the tablet, my drawing tablet, because of the organic nature of the texture. It's not like straight lines and rows and everything else. It's just chaos. It's just at first it felt like chaos, but eventually the more I like. The more detail I added, the clearer it became what details were like missing and stuff like that. Uh, for instance, at the very end of making the material, it was very. I got shocked at how close to the real thing that I got to, and also got to explore a bit of how one could go about making the all the different layers and textures and colors that this beautiful creature has on its body. By the way, I'm not at all. Those white lines that segment that separate all the shell parts. I am not at all happy with those. I tried to follow what was on the reference, but it still looks kind of weird. I think they're too thick, too dense, too thick, and too. Maybe I should have like taken the eraser and rugged them up a bit, like make them a little bit more cracked and less less clear, maybe. Uh, Here at first I thought I'd make all the because all the shell parts they kind of blend into the skin of the softer, lighter skin of the turtle, and they have the same color as the shell, and all these I could call them like micro hexagons, I guess, if you will. They they were quite hard to make look good, but eventually I was like, I'm just gonna stop thinking about it and just add them in and correct whatever looked bad afterwards. And that ended up being the main workflow of designing the texture of the turtle. Oh yeah, by the way, this happened a few times with Substance Painter. I have no idea why this happens, but sometimes Substance Painter has this glitch or intended feature that I have no expertise on whatsoever, and where the black mask layer stops drawing. It just locks on the eraser, and I can click on the brush part of the black mask, brush mode in the black mask, and still have it erase. And I have no idea how to solve that other than that doesn't involve either restarting Substance Painter, which I had to do here, or removing the layer entirely and preserve the detail on the black mask by just copying it and pasting it into a new layer. And even then, that doesn't even guarantee that it's gonna work again. So I have no clue why this happens sometimes. It's a weird. I don't know if it's got to do with memory or memory leakage or something like that. But Substance Painter usually says so when there's like an error in like a memory error or something like that. But it's not really. Yeah, nothing came up this time. It just happens. It just Substance Painter not wanting to brush, and sometimes this can get fixed by removing the layer, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's very. It compound the extra minutes that it takes to get around these little glitches. They those minutes they compound over each other and makes the whole thing take so much longer than it should. And there's the mistake that whenever I use the polygon fill, if I'm not careful, I try to use the polygon fill in the viewport side of the 3D mesh, and end up applying a certain material where it should not be, because sometimes the polygon fill just sends a fucking raycast straight through your mesh when you do it in the viewport, and then a bunch of meshes that were all the faces that were behind the surface that you clicked on are also filled. So it's just, yeah, it's a mess to work with sometimes when you're not really paying attention, uh, which I tend to not always do because of ADHD. Or because I don't know, or ADHD, or insert any other fucking reason to not pay attention other than just being tired. But yeah, just brushing the brownness on the arms, the fins part, and then using an eraser with a cracked brush. That was like such a brilliant solution to my problem. Um, because as you can see, it looks so much better. Now I'm just attempting to make the underside look sort of resembling to the top part of the shell. Uh, oh, my laundry is done. But anyway, that's mostly the turtle, and now I'm just nitpicking. These time lapses are they are a little bit quicker than the other videos, just because this took such a long time, and I don't feel like sitting and ranting for over 30 minutes, and I really don't think anyone wants to hear me rant and watch me work tirelessly at this mesh um, for over 30 minutes. So I tend to like just compress the time lapse into at least, yeah, at around 25 minutes is fine, but when it's closing on to half an hour, that's like, yeah, well, is anybody even gonna watch that? I don't think so, or listen to that if that's your thing. But there you go. That is the turtle almost finished. I'm quite happy with it. It's my first turtle. I'm more than happy with how it turned out. Maybe could have added a couple more dyes and hues to the skin parts, but all in all, ended up quite well. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.